move on to my top 10. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so the new offensive coordinator is most likely going to help. But Mekhi Lemon was a very, very weird choice for me because he thrives at the kind of routes that Jalen Hurts like struggles with the most. Like he's a over the middle kind of guy, and you couldn't pay Jalen Hurts apparently to fall in the middle of the field. So that seemed like, I mean, even though I was hoping that the Rams would draft Mekhi Lemon, I like that kid a lot. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. He's really good at what Jalen Hurts isn't good at, and they just got rid of the guy who's the best at what Jalen Hurts is good at. So I got a lot of questions about them. And plus, I mean, I respect the hell out of Howie Roseman, just like I think everybody in the league does, but I just think that they have serious questions remaining on both lines they haven't answered yet. So they're the Eagles. They got so much talent. They got Saquon. The middle of their defensive line is insane.
Yeah.
But they've got two of the best, DBs in the league as well. But they're in my top 10, but I can't rank them higher until they show me that that they can kind of return to their form of a couple years ago.
And I think Jalen is another one of those guys that is like, what really is this? What's this guy going to look like for the next 6 or 7 years? Because everyone thought a year or two ago, they're like, holy Lord, this guy.
Right.
And then like, no, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? It's kind of like that same netherworld. Like, I mean, obviously Lamar Jackson's been in the league a lot longer, but there are 3 or 4 handful of quarterbacks out there that you want them to perform better than they have,
right,
consistently. And so,
I mean, Jalen is always such a weird argument because he's actually won a Super Bowl, right? And if I'm not mistaken, he was the Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken. So he has, I think he was. Again, for listeners, pop that down in the cows, but I'm pretty sure he was a Super Bowl MVP. But yeah, it's just,
which is even more concerning. It did not look like a Super Bowl MVP.
He is, well,
he was hurt though, right?
I don't think he was hurt. I think that, another new offensive coordinator, they took out like almost all.
Who was? Charles Nice. Yep.
Yeah. They took out almost all the design runs from the offense. It was just such a bland, weird offense. And so it's not all on him, but I just don't know if even with the new offensive coordinator, I don't know if they have the guys who can help him do the things that he does well, unless they put a lot more design, unless they get a new tackle and and I think they need a new guard on the right side too, if I'm not mistaken. And they put some more design runs back into it, some RPO stuff maybe. I don't know. There's just so many questions, but they're the Eagles and they got so many great players, and so I had to put them in the top 10.
I don't believe you.
All right, number 9, the Chicago Bears. So I mentioned variance a little while ago. Variance is another thing that I think is in play with this team because you're not going to win. We're not going to have 7 fourth quarter comebacks again. It's just not going to happen.
Unlikely.
So there's going to be some regression to the mean. But I think to a certain degree, that regression to the mean is going to get canceled out a little bit by the fact that this is going to be Caleb Williams' second year in Ben Johnson's system, and Ben Johnson is no joke. That guy is the real deal. Now, I don't like the whole ripping off the shirt thing in the locker room and I hate the Packers. I don't like that stuff. But he's a fantastic offensive mind, and it's a good head coach. The biggest questions remaining for me with them are things like, is Rome Odunze really ready to be a number 1 guy? Do they have enough depth at wide receiver overall? And have they made the right moves or enough moves to rebuild their defense?
Yeah.
Those are my big questions.
Which is funny because there are certain teams that have been so known for their defense for so long, and their offense always struggled. The Bears, the Ravens, obviously.
Right.
Giants, obviously, and the Bears for sure. Yeah. And so now to go, well, is the Bears defense and whatever? And it's because weird to watch a Bears game where they're just getting sliced up, and you're like, is that the Bears defense? Like, what happened then? Where's Richard Dent? Where's Mike Singletary?
Dating us again, Noah.
who's dating us? We're both married. But yeah, no, and those teams that carries over, and they've always had some standout defensive players, but I don't know if this year they'll have that.
Yeah.
And again, Caleb, what is this, his third year now? Third year around?
Third year, yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
The fourth year or third year?
Third year.
Yeah, I guess that's a big thing to see if he actually is the guy.
And he's got a full season in Ben Johnson's system and then another off season. And so their offense is probably going to be pretty scary. Again, if Rome Odunze, because they got rid of DJ Moore, so now who's he throwing the ball to? Rome Odunze and a bunch of guys, basically. And so is Rome Odunze ready to be a number one receiver? I don't know.
Even if he is, you got to have other options or just, the double team all day, and that'll be that.
Right. All right, moving on. Number 8, the Detroit Lions. So the questions about Jared Goff are going to remain until, he's like Lamar in the sense that until he wins the big one, you're going to constantly have those questions about him. And it certainly doesn't help that they got rid of David Montgomery, because now, everyone's saying, oh, great, I'm going to draft Jahmyr Gibbs on my fantasy team, number 1, drafted number 1 overall. But this is the NFL, man. And, if that guy winds up with 300 touches, 400 touches or whatever, I don't even know where, but at a high number of touches, I mean, he's just going to get beat up.
Yeah.
He's not a big guy. And so I do worry about Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he's a dynamic player. I have a different overall feeling about the Lions than I know you have from our previous conversations. I think they're one of the most talented teams in the league. And I think Dan Campbell is a very good coach. And I think that they have just been snake bit over the last 2 years by injuries. And if they can stay, and it's weird, they're kind of like the 49ers in that respect, that they just have this wicked rash of injuries.
Yeah.
If they can stay healthy, I don't see them losing that division. Now, do I think they're going to win the NFC? I don't think so. But I could see them making it to the NFC Championship. They are a very, very good team.
That's what we thought last year.
And then they had tons of injuries. I mean, I don't care how good you are. I mean, what the 49ers were able to do last year is almost inexplicable.
Well, the thing is, like, when you have those injuries and when they're not just like, oh, he's got a sore ankle or he's got a little bit of this, that, they have real injuries.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, guys don't come back the same.
That's true.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's another big question, right?
How many of those dudes are going to come back and be the guy they were before that injury, or what percentage of them is going to be there? And that's,
Exactly. Lots of questions, but they have the talent, and if those guys come back and Aiden Hudson plays the whole season,
big question mark.
Yeah, they'll be legit. Okay, number 7, San Francisco 49ers. I think it remains to be seen how much Mike Evans has left in the tank. He's always been a very physical receiver, and he's 34 now. But most importantly, and actually you kind of just touched on this, that the injuries that Fred Warner and Nick Fosa had last year are brutal injuries. So we have to kind of see, like, how, are they going to return to being Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, or are they only going to be like 70-80% of those guys? And that's why they're probably not higher on this list. But the X factor for them is, even though I don't like him, and I really don't like him, you cannot deny that Kyle Shanahan is just an amazing coach. That guy, what they did last year, and I know Robert Saleh was probably a big part of it, and he's gone now too, which will be another big loss of them. Now they have Raheem Morris as their defensive coordinator, so that's not a downgrade at all. What he was able to do last year with all those injuries, and they were 12-5, and they were right in it till the end, and they made it to the playoffs, and that was nothing short of phenomenal. That is a fantastic organization, and I hate them for it, but I just think they have a lot of question marks about how much are we going to get back of those guys, and plus, and the other thing is that if Mike Evans is only 70% of Mike Evans, then I just don't know if they have enough weapons to throw to.
I think they do.
So there's question marks.
But 34 is a lot for that kind of receiver.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also feel like Bosa, again, not a spring chicken.
Right.
Guys that have that rely, especially like him, who really rely on their speed, their quickness, their dynamism.
Is there agility? Yeah.
That is something that, it would be on the decline anyway, but when
Right.
you're coming back from a major injury, I don't think he'll be the dominant force that he's been prior to this. And I also just think quarterback, good.
I don't know.
Fine.
We could be like everybody else, and we could do an entire episode on Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But
But you would think that you're ever going to hear in your life, Brock Purdy won the Super Bowl.
yeah, I think that's very possible. As much as I hate to say it. And the thing is, is that as a Rams fan, I kind of don't have a choice anymore but to admit that he's a good quarterback, because they just drafted the guy who is the next Brock Purdy.
He's a good quarterback. He's fine. I think he had a moment where the stars aligned, just like that guy on the Vikings had for 5 minutes, and then he basically was a backup the rest of his life.
That guy the Vikings had, do you mean Sam Darnold?
No. Before that, the Minneapolis Miracle. He took over the team, and they wound up winning like 14 games, and they won that playoff game with the Minneapolis Miracle. And he was basically
Case Keenum?
yes,
Oh.
Case Keenum. Unbelievable season. It was a 13-14 win.
Dude, you're going to get us slaughtered if anybody actually watches this by comparing Brock Purdy to Case Keenum.
I'll stand by it. 100%. I'm not saying he's the same guy. I'm saying Case Keenum caught lightning in a bottle. You can't argue with the numbers that he put up or anything else. He was absolutely, in that season, he was an A-plus quarterback.
Purdy's done it multiple years now, though, and
He's had good years. He's never had great years.
Okay.
If
If you want, we can devote an entire episode to Brock Purdy.
I would rather not.
But
I'll take a Super Bowl. Oh, they agree with me.
Brock Purdy is not in the top 6 for certain.
What? He's not even.
But he's somewhere between 7 and 15.
Yes, 14 would be.
Well, I don't know. He's a very good quarterback.
Kevin, you could name 10 guys literally right now without thinking they're better than Brock Purdy.
I don't know if I could.
You absolutely could.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do it.
I would include in them guys like Dak Prescott, who are on teams that are going nowhere. But there are quarterbacks.
Wait, oh my God, you're gonna flip out in a second though. Okay. All right, if you think that. All right, here we go.
Cowboys next? Oh,
No, the next I had the Bills.
All right.
Because Josh Allen, and enough said. But they have a new coach. Joe Brady has been there for a long time, but he's never been a head coach. And they're another team. I just don't know what they did really to improve. I mean, their big offseason acquisition was DJ Moore, who has never been more than maybe a fringe number 2 wide receiver, at least in my opinion. So, but it's Josh Allen. The Bills are always right there. Josh Allen is, if Josh Allen was playing for the Chiefs or the Niners or the Rams, he probably would have already won 5 Super Bowls, that guy. But so you can never count them out. They play in a fairly weak division. Even if you want to say that the Patriots are better than I think they are, they still have a guaranteed 4 wins every year because they play the Dolphins and the Jets. And the other thing is that they finished second in their division last year, right? So they're not going to have to play a first place schedule this year. I think that the Bills, they're going to be in it. They're one of the top 3 teams in the AFC for sure.
Yeah. As long as he's healthy, you can't count them out.
So, number 5. And by the way, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. Number 5 is the Dallas room. Number 5 is the Dallas Cowboys, and it pains me to say that. I hate the Cowboys more than I hate the 49ers. But look, you've got it. They were like a top 3 offense last year, right? They got Pickens and they've got CeeDee Lamb. Do we have there you go. Oh, we're good? All right, cool. So they got Pickens and they got CeeDee Lamb. Dak is a very good quarterback. He's not worth $60 million a year, but he's a very good quarterback. He obviously has a very good agent. And they just did so much to improve that defense. And did they fill every single hole? I don't know.
What was the 2 big moves?
Well, Caleb Downs, and who was the other guy that they drafted? They had 2 huge, 2 picks in the top 20.
I don't care. You're talking about draft picks. I'm talking about did they go out and sign a? Did they go sign yeah, I think they go get the best player of the.
No, they didn't. But they're
Getting draft picks for schmaff picks.
they are going to be, look, if this is another team where if that defense is even average, right? If they're average, they're going to score so many points that they're going to win a lot of games. And especially if,
Why didn't they last year?
well, because the defense was not average. The defense was atrocious. Couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
But
But did they light up the scoreboard?
they did. They were a top 3 offense last year for sure. Yeah. Charlie, look up. I'm telling you, I might be off by 1. But they got our top off.
But that's I had no way.
I don't usually put a lot of stock in rookies and stuff like that, but they drafted someone who's probably going to be a generational guy, and they just did a lot. They did a lot they attacked their defense, and that's what they needed to do in the offseason.
Time will tell.
And also with so many questions about the rest of that division, I think that they're gonna do well. They're gonna be a 11-12 win team at least.
No.
All right, number
A
4.
lot of questions. I think Philly is solid for sure. We'll get to it. Go ahead.
All right, number 4, the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs. Their big question mark is kind of what we were talking about before. Like, how is Patrick Mahomes going to be Patrick Mahomes again? He's a very mobile quarterback. His superpower is his ability to create, and and he hurt his knee. And so is he going to come back to being him, or is he going to be 70% of him or 80% of him? They have to keep their wide receiver room together. They improved at running. We talked about this last time. They improved at running back dramatically by getting Kenneth Walker. If I'm not mistaken, they got rid of their top 2, or they lost their top 2 cornerbacks. But they also drafted Mansour Delane, who's another guy who's probably going to be a very, very good player in this league for a very long time. They're another team that had two first-round draft picks. I forget who they drafted with their second pick, but I know they are putting some attention to their defense. And their big thing is I think that they're in an incredibly tough division. But I think you're going to see regression with the Broncos. I didn't even put them in my just misses. And they're another one that I feel pretty confident they're a top 3 team in the AFC at least. So they're number 4 for me.
I think that's a reach. I think 4 or 5. I think you're reaching hard
On the Chiefs?
on Dallas and the Chiefs.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hear your thoughts in a sec. All right. Number 3, I put the Seahawks. Again, kind of painful for me. But they did lose a lot of pieces. I think they lost like 4 players to free agency, including several key pieces of their defense. Time will tell whether they drafted well or not.
No.
And Mike McDonald I'm not the first person to say this, but he probably is the defensive Sean McVay. So they're always going to be good as long as he's there. But they did lose a lot of pieces. And the other big question mark for them is, was last year an aberration for Sam Darnold? Is he going to turn back into a pumpkin?
No.
Or is that him?
I thought it was exactly him. I think he was surrounded by a very good team.
Right.
He did what he needed to do. He didn't try to get over his skis, as they say.
Right.
And I think he's absolutely capable of doing that for the next 4 or 5 years.
All right.
No reason he should.
Well, he also committed 6 turnovers against the Rams, so he's probably got to stop doing that.
He's not Matthew Stafford.
Right.
He's not a top 10 quarterback. I mean, maybe he's a 10, maybe he's 9 or 10.
Right.
But he's not a guy who's going to dazzle you ever. And if you need to rely on him to win games,
Right.
that's not going to happen. But if you have the right team around that guy, obviously it happened twice. The Vikings had a really good team around him. Not good enough, as this was their defense was wildly overrated, like I said, and they got annihilated in the playoffs because they couldn't stop anyone. But Seattle, much better defense, obviously, and Darnold did what he needed to do.
Sam Darnold had 2 turnovers in that Rams playoffs game. All right, only one of which was his fault. The second one was when he got blindsided, and then by Witherspoon.
Yeah.
And then Verse picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown. So Remember that. That means that the Rams offense, which is one of the best offenses in the league, even that year, they only scored 20 points in that game.
Yeah.
And he got sacked 9 times. 9 times. So that loss, I don't think was on him. Not at all.
I didn't say that was. I was talking about the Vikings. But the reason they let him go was because they thought, postseason, he's the guy who can't get it done.
But that's what I'm saying is that I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you that was not his fault. That was not indicative of what he had done.
I didn't think so either. And I think he's perfectly capable of being exactly who he was last year.
Well, we'll see. That'll certainly make the NFC West more interesting for a long time. So, all right, number 2. I have a feeling you're going to probably be surprised by this. I'm also.
I don't think I'll be that surprised.
I have to admit that I was surprised the first time I saw someone else choose this team as the number 2 team, and then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense. And that's the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Chargers are my number 2 team. You got that coach. You got Harbaugh as your coach. You've got someone who I don't know, Justin Herbert. I guess he's another guy who still has to prove it, but he's got the physical tools, and that team is so talented. If they stay healthy.
What's different about them this year?
They've got both of their tackles, for one thing. Like, they couldn't protect him last
Were they both out last year?
Both of them for almost the entire season.
Okay, that's big.
I think he probably needs one more weapon to throw to. But they got Amari and Hampton, who I have so much confidence in is going to be a very good back in this league for a very long time. That defense is legit. And I do think that the Broncos are going to regress. The Raiders are in their division, so it's going to be them and the Chiefs sort of fighting it out.
Yeah.
They play not a number 1 schedule this year, so shouldn't be too rough there. So I have the Chargers as number 2, and my number 1 is not going to surprise you.
No, it won't.
But look, I'm not the first person to say this. I know I'm a Rams homer, but
you want to prove it?
But you can't, just in case, you can't argue that they have had an incredibly impactful offseason.
Yes.
Obviously, everybody knows about the big moves that they made on defense. That has gone from an average defense to probably going to be a top 3 defense this year, I would guess. They didn't lose anybody off the offense except for Rob Havenstein, but Rob Havenstein didn't play most of the season.
Did Rob Havenstein decide to go back to being an accountant?
No, now he's on a podcast.
Okay, see?
With Erin Coscarelli, I think is how you say her name.
Hi, I'm Rob Havenstein, and I'm Erin Coscarelli. How the fuck are you going? All right, I'm done.
She doesn't talk like that at all.
Neither does he, probably.
Probably no.
For purposes of my little demonstration.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to get too much argument about putting the Rams at number 1. I think that's most people would have them top 3 no matter how you slice it.
Right.
I think the Chargers at number 2 is a giant reach.
Who would your number 2 team be?
Jeez. I mean, I would put Seattle at number 2. I would put the Rams at Seattle. I would flip a coin.
Okay. Even though Seattle lost 4 players?
It's never seemed to be a problem for them. They always just are able to, like the Patriots, they just plug people in. Everybody thought they were done when that last team disbanded, when the Legion of Boom and their quarterback was gone.
And they were sort of wandering in the wilderness for
about 8
years.
Not 8 years. Not 8. All
right, Charlie. When did the Seahawks, not including this past year, when was the last time they won the Super Bowl? It was like 2013 or something.
I'm not saying they won the Super Bowl.
But they were barely in the playoffs. They were like a 9-17 every year.
No, after they won the Super Bowl, they were still very competitive for another 2-3 years. Then they broke up the Beatles. And after they broke up the Beatles and they sent the quarterback hacking, it's like, 2 seasons? And then they were back.
But my point is that they were bad for a long time.
Not a long time.
They were.
Not a long time.
What was the year? Was it 2013?
14.
14.
But according to this search that I just did, they won the Super Bowl in 2026 as well.
Oh, no, they did. For sure. But my point is that after they won it in 2014, they were They were like a 9-18 or 9-17 before we went to 17 games.
They were still very competitive. It wasn't like you played the Seahawks and marked a win in your calendar.
Oh, you did if you were a Rams fan.
Well, if you're around saying I did wins no matter what because they're oblivious. But anyway, I would say both of those two teams. I mean, I hate to say it, but I do think the Bears are going to be very, very good this year. I would not be surprised if the Redskins surprise some people.
I would be stunned if the Redskins.
Oh well, that whatever the fuck.
They're called the Commanders now.
Sorry,
Keep dating yourself.
yeah, there is.
Keep doing everything you can to get us canceled.
Gonna try. I'm sorry. So
You just called them the Redskins.
no, I'm sorry. The Washington Savages are going to be a very good team. Not the Savages. What are they?
The Commanders.
The Commanders.
Although they did for one season, they had the best. They had the best name of any team ever in pro sports.
Washington. Who are they?
They were called the Washington Football Team.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Anyway, you know,
Will you please say Washington Commanders?
I did. I said Commanders like all right times.
My goodness.
I'll never remember. But anyway, I think there's a lot of those teams that you said were like bubble teams. I think any one of those teams, if things break right, could be a top 5 team.
Okay.
I don't think they're it's not like back in some of those days where there was just a clear runaway favorite where every year it was like Chiefs, Patriots, and then an NFC team. This year has a lot more. It feels a lot more wide open.
Right.
There's definitely not like a clear cut dominant AFC team. Patriots got to the Super Bowl last year. I think the seas kind of parted for them, and
I agree.
out. I think this
Free snowstorm in the second half of the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, all things being equal, I don't know that you could pick a clear cut favorite in the AFC.
No.
And it's not because they're all so great. It's because they're all good.
Right.
And we'll see if anybody emerges.
At least that's what it feels like right now. I mean, there's
It's the same thing in the NFC. Like if you look at basically Rams, Seahawks, and then like who? Yeah, maybe Packers, maybe Bears, maybe Vikings, maybe Lions, maybe Niners,
maybe Cowboys.
maybe Cowboys.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely those but they got that whole group of teams.
Right.
If they all played each other, I don't think, at least here the preseason on paper,
Right.
they're pretty even. They're all, that's true. There's no real clear cut runaways.
I mean, there's definitely gonna look. I mean, it's preseason. That's why these power rankings are so stupid.
Exactly. Why would someone do something like
I know.
preseason?
But
Dumb.
there's definitely gonna be a team that like nobody was thinking about that's gonna
Yeah, they're all.
rise up. There always is. But for now, this is what it seems like to me.
I mean, the Knicks just won the NBA championship.
Yeah.
I don't know what the odds were preseason if you'd have bet that.
I don't think anybody except for James Dolan thought that was.
Major money if you made that bet.
Yeah.
Because they were, I wouldn't say they were
I want to say they were 3,000-1 or something like that.
3,000 to 1?
Yeah, I think they were 3,000-1. Yeah.
That'd be pretty hard.
Or plus.
I mean, that's basically 30 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus 3,000. I'm sorry. That's not 3,000.
That would surprise me. Yeah. I mean, they were probably borderline top 10 preseason.
Sure.
But yeah, that's, so it can happen. It's harder, I think, in football than in basketball.
To be the team that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's the opposite, because the NFL, we can actually do an episode on this too. The NFL is actually set up so that everybody. Well, when we were at 16 games, it was everybody's 8-8 at the start of the season, right? It's an even playing field because of the salary count.
Yeah.
Now, certain teams still have unfair advantages, right? Like there was a story not too long ago that I read about the Broncos, who has the richest ownership group in the whole league. And because of that, what they can do is they can convert a lot of like salary into signing bonus, which doesn't count against the salary cap, but that means you got to pay a whole bunch more cash up front. So you have to have an ownership group that is able to do that, right? So there are still advantages that some teams have over others just because of stuff like that.
And that's good.
But for the most part, the whole reason that the NFL is a national sport, and like you could turn on any game for the most part. You turn on any game on Sunday. I'm not a Packers fan, for example, but if the Packers Cowboys are on, I'm going to watch them because it's a national game and because the entire league is structured that way so that it's an even playing field. Everybody has the same amount of money to spend every year. You're playing by the same rules. Like if you have a creative GM like Howie Roseman or Les Snead, you can figure out ways around it.
Fair boy.
Right?
Fair.
And then some organizations are just better run than others, and that's why you do see perennial doormats and perennial
That's
really good.
That always blows me. Like, how do the Jets stay in business? How can you be terrible for basically the totality of your existence? For like, they had Joe Namath 160 years ago, and then they had like the sack exchange, which was a very decent defense in the 80s, and that's it. That's it.
I think they won a playoff game with Mark Sanchez.
Did they win a playoff game?
They won a playoff.
Buck fumble. But I mean, how do you keep your fan base? How do you keep your organization liquid? How do you stay afloat when it's just failure after failure?
Especially in New York, because it's not like they don't have another team to root for. Not that the Giants have been great lately either, but they certainly have a better history.
But even
than the Jets.
look at the entirety of New York sports.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
Yeah. It's so true.
Rangers.
It's a fair point.
Giants.
The only thing
Yankees, Mets, and then one franchise that has never even sniffed.
Well, except for when they won Super Bowl III.
Yeah, like the third year of the NFL, they won.
Right. No, I get it.
Only like guys, and like you had defensive tackles that were 170 pounds. Yeah.
Well, that was everybody back then, right?
It was, but I mean, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, it's a great question. It's a great question. Maybe that's something we should explore. But
even sadder that they did have that one, season or two of miracle with a legendary player and fell off a cliff, never to return.